So I have the PlayStation Classic here, which is Sony's entry into the mini retro console kind of market going on at the moment. It's a direct competitor to the Nintendo SNES, which was really popular last year and was like one of the kind of perfect gifts you can get for one of the sort of aging gamers or even the younger ones. It's just a simple machine. It's easy to set up and use. It's very simple actually. So there's two USB ports at the front for the controllers, and at the back there is an HDMI and there is a USB power, which is supplied on most TVs these days. So what's not so good about the PlayStation Classic is it's been getting a lot of backlash about the game selection that comes preloaded. So the way these mini consoles work is they come with a number of classic games already preloaded onto them. And without any sort of Wi-Fi or basically any internet access, it's impossible for it to receive updates. If you remember the PlayStation, it had a disc. Well, this is actually a super tiny console and the open button does not open here, so there is no way to get new games onto the device. So the selection of the games preloaded is critical to its success, and a lot of people are disappointed with the games that are actually loaded onto the console. So I'm going to just start up the console so we can see what's going on there. So it's very simple. HDMI cable in, USB power, and we wait for this orange indicator to go on. Once that's illuminated, we can then press the button. It'll go green and the console will start up. If you remember the PlayStation from all those many years ago now, that's the classic startup noise, and you can hear it slightly distorted. Part of that is due to the capture card I'm using, and the other half is actually sort of like a retro kind of feeling they've got on all of the audio. So it's asking for the controller, and the controller is very cool. It's a USB controller, and it does have this plastic sheath that makes it look like the original connector for the PlayStation. So I'm going to plug this in. And if you're wondering what the controller looks like, it's like a DualShock controller if you have a PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4 or even a PlayStation 2, but it's missing the analog sticks. Later in the PlayStation 1 life, they added DualShock controllers in with joysticks. So there are games which cannot ever run on this console because they require joysticks. So I'm going to click OK. I'm going to select English. And this is just a sort of guide on how to use it. So you see that the power button turns on and off the console. This one here. The reset button quits to go back to the main menu. And the open button, actually, since it doesn't open this, is used to change virtual disks. So once we get to the menu, you can see it's sort of a ring selection, and you can just go through, pick a game, play it, and it'll start up and all as well. But when you go through the selection, you notice that classics such as Spyro and Crash Bandicoot are missing. So you get thinking, what can be done to fix that? So here I have a simple USB stick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into port 2. As you can see, nothing happens. What I need to do is I need to power cycle the device. So to do that, you do not press the power button. The power button is a bit of a trick. It doesn't turn off the device as it says. What it does is it puts it into a low power state. So to properly cycle it, what you need to do is pull out the power cable, then reinsert it. If I can get it. There we go. Now we wait for the orange illumination. We're good. Push the button and let it start up. So see, we're going through the same setup as before, but we're missing the actual sort of configuration the first time running where we set the language. So now we're back at the main menu, and now you can see Spyro's here. Okay. Let's run it. Let's see if it works. So click play, and it's taking a little longer, but we'll get there. So it's starting. The reason why it's taking so long is what this little mod does is it's no longer loading games from inside the console, it's loading them from this memory stick here. So loading from the internal storage is a lot faster than it is loading from the memory stick, so that could explain why it's taking so long to load. And once we start getting into the game, you're going to see some like jittering. That's mostly because, oh, I think at least, it's mostly because it's loading from the memory stick. For example, this is quite jittery here, but as soon as we exit the game then restart it, it's very smooth. Maybe that's caching on the emulator, in which case it is an emulation issue, but it doesn't matter just now. So we're going to start the game. And let's talk about the system a little bit. So it's running sort of smartphone technology chipsets. So it's running a MediaTek thing that's also inside of the Acer Iconio 1 tablet. So it's pretty much off-the-shelf stuff. And it's running, see the glitching here for example, this is an emulation issue. And maybe one of the reasons why Sony didn't ship this game. Maybe there was a lot more of these emulation issues. You can hear the audio slightly distorted as well. That's mostly because of my capture card, but it does clip quite a lot, and you'll see it once we get into the game, that the audio does pop and clip. So let's skip these startup cutscenes. So yeah, it's off-the-shelf parts, and actually the software underneath is just Linux. It's a Linux PC basically with some polish to make the UI, some retro feelings, and it's running actually an open source emulator called PCSX Rearmed, which is an open source emulator. You could download it. It's included in RetroArch for those who are familiar with that in homebrew in general. So it's just an emulator. Which is interesting that they're using an open source one actually, because Sony have written their own emulators for the PlayStation Portable. It has a PlayStation 1 emulator. I believe the Xperia also has a ARM based PlayStation emulator. As you can see, we're in the game now. And it seems it runs fine. There are a few moments where the frame rate drops sharply, and you just heard a pop there. The audio does that quite a lot. As I said, the audio is a lot more crackly, and that's because of the sound card I'm using. On a normal TV, it sounds fine. Well, as fine as a PlayStation 1 game sounds. So, I'm gonna keep going here. See? More cutscenes. This game loves cutscenes. Yeah. Let's go. See these frame drops there, yeah. That seems like an emulation issue, and that could be, you know, as I keep saying, well, it could be because it's loading from the slower memory stick. This is an old memory stick, so I bet it doesn't get a lot of high scores on the speed ratings there. But it could be an emulation issue as well, which would explain why Sony didn't ship this. I think the more likely reason why they didn't ship this or Crash Bandicoot is that they either a licensing issue, or because they have the new remakes out now, the HD remastering. So they might want to push people that want to have that nostalgic vibe to those instead, which I guess is a fair business strategy, but kind of sucks if you're spending so much money on this retro console for it to not have those sort of games that you want. So, let's go into a level now. let's get to the skate park. And while we're doing that, I'll talk about what's actually going on here. So you see this USB stick. As I said, it's just redirecting the storage in here to here. So instead of loading the games from inside, I've got a copy of them. I just cloned the internal storage onto the disk and added Spyro. And adding that was pretty straightforward. You just copy the files in the right place. They have a folder numbered 1 all the way through to 20. You add 21, you know, really straightforward. You put the files in there, just mimic what they've got that currently. And all you have to do to get it to show up in the menu is they have a database. You open that in a common database editor like SQLite browser. You'll be able to get more details later on, and I will provide links to the Hackchi Discord in which you'll be able to talk to people that will be doing this sort of stuff. It's very early days, like we're 3 days into the release of this console. So a lot of things will change. I don't want to be too specific about what's required because it'll become out of date very quickly. But yeah, so it's just doing a simple redirection. The files to actually get the game is just editing a database. I imagine, but don't quote me on this, I imagine in the future there'll be tools that just helps you, you know, it does automatically. You know, you provide the game, it'll fill out all the blanks, it'll add it to the menus, etc, etc. Lots of audio cracks, which is annoying. We're going to go to the skate park, we're going to skate around a bit. So how this works in general is that the USB has, so Sony introduced an update sort of feature or diagnostic feature to the console, where if you put in a memory stick with the label Sony and with a certain file in it, it'll try to decrypt it and then run it. And this file is actually signed as well, so we can't provide our own encrypted version unless we have the private key. Unfortunately, maybe due to technology misunderstanding, they shipped the private key in with the public key and everything on the console. So it was very trivial to just go ahead and sign our own updater, then run our own code, and then from there it's just a Linux system. And since it's a Unix system, I know this. And yeah, we're here now. I just wrote a simple script that unmounts the game partition, mounts the memory stick to where the game partition is supposed to be, and everything just works as is. So let's catch some lizards. Yeah, and as you see, you know, there is some issues with some emulation, but there are config files for PC. Oh, I'm never going to get this acronym right. PCSX rearmed. I think that's right. Maybe not. There are some configs for it that let you tweak things. So maybe like people, I've never used this emulator before, but I imagine there's ways to. Imagine people have already done a bunch of research on a bunch of games and they have optimal settings. So maybe there are fixes for all of these things already. But you know, that's up to other people to find out. And I guess if you go to the Hackchi Discord, I mean, those guys will know for sure. And I think if you're looking to do this yourself, just go there. That's where you're going to find the most information. And I'll also be there. And if you need to contact me, or if you're interested in my other work, so I do a lot of PlayStation Vita hacking as well, and a lot of homebrew development. So you can follow me on Twitter. It's at DavyFTW. I'll put it in the description. And also another thing is coming up to December, and every December, I did it last year and whatnot, I start streams live on Twitch TV, which I usually do some sort of hacking or some sort of console development. So I think, what was I doing last year? We did some cool stuff. We got some cute development environment. working on the PlayStation Vita. What else did we do? Oh, we do a bunch of stuff. But if you're interested in console hacking, that's definitely something I'd recommend you to check out. I'll put the... It's probably best if you just follow me on Twitter if you're interested in my console hacking streams, because that's when I announce when I'm going live and whatnot. So yeah, I'll put links in the description. But as I wrap this up and show you, yeah, this works. I'll do some shout outs to some of the guys that I've seen do development on this over the last 3 days. I'm sorry I missed someone out, but shout out to DoctorDalek, Honeylab, madmonkey, nvsoft, xyz, and yifanlu. Everyone's done a little bit, or a lot. I mean, it's definitely been a mixed bag of talent I've seen, which is kind of unusual because for the PlayStation Vita, it's just a small group basically, and there's quite a lot of people involved in this, which was really nice to see. It's quite a healthy community, and I recommend you join the HackG Discord if you want to learn more about this. So thanks for watching, guys. I've put links in the description. See ya.